You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Hello and welcome to the Living Full Out Show. My name is Nancy Solari, and today we're going to talk about how in life sometimes we just have to accept circumstances, accept what we have to deal with. But beyond accepting that, how do we take action and have things unfold the way we would like? Part of it is accepting, but also taking action. And so we're going to be covering that today during the show. Also, we're going to be taking your calls. That number again is 800-333-0001. We'd love you to call on in, and I'm standing by to give you the advice that I can to move you forward. And also, if you have, any questions on today's topic of accepting, or if you have an inspirational story that you'd like to share with our community, we would really enjoy hearing from you. Just reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com. Again, that's connect@livingfullout.com. Also coming up shortly, we're going to have our inspirational guest today, Maggi Pivovar, and she dealt with meningitis, which led to having to amputate both of her legs. It's a touching story, but at the same time, she's really living full out today despite that loss. And so we're going to hear from her. And if you want to hear today's show again, feel free to go to livingfullout.com, click on the radio show tab. And the great thing is all of our episodes are waiting there for you. Plus, you can catch us on Alexa. You can download our app on the iPhone, the Android, so many different ways in which you can be supported by the Living Full Out show every day. We're here for you day in and day out to keep you motivated. Now, I'm getting word from our producer that we do have a caller on the line. We're going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to the Living Full Out show. Hi, thank you for calling. How can we help you?
Hi.
Hi, thank you. What's going on today? How can we help you?
I just needed advice on something real quick. I'm close to 300 pounds. I've been trying to go to the gym, but I haven't seemed to be motivated enough, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
What could I do to enhance my gym experience?
That's such a great question. First of all, I want to give you credit because even though you may be 300 pounds, not where you want to be weight-wise, the fact that you're even going to the gym, that's the first step. But secondly, you want to figure out what excites you. What in that environment would you enjoy doing? Would you be better served by going to classes where you have an instructor and you're kind of led and you're within a group? Or would you rather do more of an individual sport where maybe it's a treadmill, maybe it's an Olympic machine, Stairmaster, whatever that would be? Which way would you like to go? Would you be more of someone who wants to be around people or do it on your own?
Well, I think subconsciously I've been avoiding folks and isolating myself from like group sessions, just for the sake of my my insecurities.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? I definitely get that. And the thing is, take away how you look on the outside. Do you like who you are on the inside?
I do.
Okay. What's one of the best qualities of who you are? Take away the looks. What's one of your best qualities?
I would say my ambition.
Okay. You're ambitious. Love that. Very living full out of you. What's another one?
I believe I'm a very loyal person, very diligent.
Do you think people in life enjoy hanging out with loyal, ambitious people?
I do.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that you are a good friend to others?
I definitely am.
Okay. So here's the thing. the experience of a life is one that's shared. We're not in this by ourselves. Yes, you could stay indoors and never go outside, but that's just not living. You have family, you have friends, you may go to work or school. So it is still going to be a shared life experience. Take away how you look on the outside. When you don't engage with other people, when you hold yourself back, you're limiting other people experiencing the greatness of you. That ambitious, loyal, trustworthy, great friend that you are. That's a gift. Your friendship is a gift that you give to somebody else. So what you want to try to do is tell those insecurities that they have no place in your life. Override it. The minute it creeps in, the judgments or what people might quote, quote, think about you on the outside, just tell those insecurities, nope, you do not have a place in my mind. You're not for real. You're just here to kind of poke at me and hold me back. I'm going to go anyway. And then I want you to go anyway. I want you to walk out that door of your home and walk into the gym. And I want you to take a leap of faith in other people trusting you, being in admiration of who you are. Trust that. Because because that's kind of that life experience that I'm talking about. And also those 300 pounds that you want to lose. Do you know we get people that call in all the time who are trying to lose weight? We actually had a guest on our show a couple months ago. He got up to 700 pounds and eventually got down to 250. Okay. We've had people on from The Biggest Loser, that show that was on NBC years back. People have a similar struggle to you. And so others will get it. You go to Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, you name it. You see all these things, right? People get it. But it just takes you opening up your home, walking out the door, going to the gym, 10 minutes a day. Then 10 becomes 20. Making certain food choices. Doesn't mean you have to eat salads every day, but you know what? Maybe you get a burger, but you have it without the bun, and you use it with lettuce instead. There's different ways that we can make changes, but yet feel like we're still not giving up what makes our heart sing. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. And the biggest thing is always to remember that your friendship, the love, the admiration, the loyalty that you have inside, think of all the people that are going to miss out on that if you don't walk out that door.
Yeah.
It's pretty big stuff when you really think about it. Even you calling in today, think about the thousands of people that are hearing your story and they're like, I'm so him. He's just like me. And I bet a lot of those people also are concerned and weary about going to the gym and what people think of them. So be that inspiration for others. Start that today. Say, you know what? The jig is up. I'm 300 pounds. You guys can all see it. But you know what? I'm amazing. I'm ambitious. I'm loyal. I got a lot to give. And you know what? I'm going to lose this weight. And you guys are going to join me. Let's all do it together.
Yeah.
It's exciting. There's so much purpose within you. You don't even know. You don't even know. So can you do that?
I can.
Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can. So keep us posted, but I have no doubt that you will lose the weight. The minute your mindset the positive mindset overrides those insecurities and you get yourself into the gym and you see the future rather than looking at the past, it's all going to start clicking for you. You're not going to melt away pounds overnight, but the ambition, the motivation will be there. Okay?
Yes.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for calling in, and we'll be thinking of you, sending you positive wishes, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I really love that he called in about that, because part of accepting where we are is a needed ingredient in the makeup of who we're going to become. You know, we can't just have all this ambition and surface level positivity. We have to accept the circumstances. You know, there's days that I want to do things, but I'm legally blind. I can't just get in my car and drive. I can't just pick up something and read it. Sometimes I have to ask people to read it for me. Sometimes I have to wait for a Uber But the thing is when you accept your circumstances, now you're able to take action. Now you're able to take control of your life because you know what is. You're not in denial. So let's take today to all get in that place of I can, I will, because when you're a doer, that's when things happen. That's when you're living full out. And now you get to accept a positive, vibrant future that is to come. So stay with us. We're going to be coming right back after this break with our inspirational guest, Maggi Pivovar. And you don't want to miss her story. It's one that we'll all be able to relate to, I promise. Stay with us. It's the Living Full Out Show. I'm Nancy Solari, and it's all about accepting where we are in life, but reaching for what we want. That's what it means to live full out. We'll be back.
Dad, this is fun. I didn't think I liked kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure.
Tomorrow?
Let's check with Mom. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm going to return the kayak. Just make sure you have everything.
Yep. Can we walk home?
How about a taxi? 233 North Maple, please.
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Also, find fun activities to do like boating and biking or camping and hiking, plus much more. It's all right in your naturehood.
Best day ever.
A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Don't you wish that getting your child to eat right, move more, and spend less time in front of a screen could be as easy as pushing a button? It might not be that simple, but you do have more power than you know. And you can maximize that power with proven strategies, tips, and tools from the National Institutes of Health's We Can, or Ways to Enhance Children's Activity and Nutrition program. We Can offers all kinds of resources, including fun recipes and activities the family can do together to show you the way to live a healthier lifestyle. We're not saying it's easy. We are saying that it can be done. Take the first step today. Call 1-866-359-3226 for a free We Can Parents Handbook. And be sure to visit the We Can website at wecan.nhlbi.nih.gov for free information too. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
It's not work. I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket.
Hit ignition.
And then
nothing. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite. Look out! And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. With Nancy's expertise, you'll learn how to embrace your potential and strive for success. If you have a question or need further support, send us an email at connect@livingfullout.com. Now, here's Nancy.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about accepting those circumstances, the things that come at us in life. But that's not easy. Like, what happens when your career is not going the way you want, or you get fired or let go, and everything you've been working for is poof, gone? What happens when a health challenge comes into your life and it makes no sense? You've always done everything right. You've ate right. You've been a healthy person, but yet something happens and you find yourself struggling with a health challenge. What happens when you need to accept the circumstances? How do you do that? Our inspirational guest today, Maggi Pivovar, she's a perfect example of needing to accept circumstances, but choosing to look beyond them and not just settle for a half a life, but filling up that glass so it's a full glass of life and drinking it up and just really sharing that with others. So I'd like to welcome Maggi to the show.
Thank you, Nancy. Excited to be with you today.
Oh, I am too. I couldn't sleep last night. I was so excited because honestly, your story is one that not everybody has experienced, but yet I think there's such relevant lessons that we can all learn. So we'll just kind of jump into it. One of the things I want you to kind of explain to our audience real quick before we get into your story is, what is meningitis? Because some people will have heard of it, others will not have. And I think it's important to know what it is first before we tell your story.
Sure. And there are many different kinds of meningitis we hear about. Sometimes it's viral meningitis, which can be serious, but often more deadly is bacterial meningitis, which is what I so closely relate to.
Okay. And typically with meningitis, the bacterial one that you had, what does that usually entail?
It very often comes on seeming like a flu type of illness. You can have headache, nausea, vomiting, feeling like you have a migraine in the very early hours. And then as it progresses, maybe around 16 or 17 hours, people start to develop other symptoms like confusion, light sensitivity, noise sensitivity, or a rash that can appear anywhere on the body.
And then ultimately, what's the outcome for most people?
Well, about 50% of the time, if that develops into sepsis, which is a blood infection, that can lead to death in less than 24 hours. If the infection proceeds without it going into sepsis and without it becoming a full body infection, the survival rate is more like 10%. But many people that end up in the hospital with meningitis, even if they do survive it, they end up severely disabled.
Well, thank you for letting us know kind of what it is, first of all, because I think that's important as we go into your journey. Now, we should explain a little bit further that, you actually did have another health challenge way back in the late 90s. And what was that? Because that kind of set you up to be susceptible for this bacterial meningitis.
Yes, in 1997, I was actually pregnant with my second child, and I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. And as a part of the early staging process for that, they removed my spleen, which can also happen to people in car accidents or motorcycle accidents, things like that. But it left me immune compromised for the rest of my life.
And so when they took the spleen away, you got better, obviously, but that kind of opened you up to being susceptible to this bacterial meningitis. What was the first signs, and this was back in 2007 now, that this started to happen to you? What were some of those initial signs?
Well, I woke up and I honestly thought I had the flu because one of my children had been sick a few days before. So I woke up with a headache, fever, nausea, and vomiting, and I just felt sick enough that I wanted to stay in bed all day. So at that point, I didn't even realize that anything else was going on because it really did feel like just a typical viral illness that you would get.
And as it kind of progressed to the day, what was the next layer of symptoms that you felt personally?
I just stayed in bed all day, but then things started to change in the middle of the night, which was unfortunate because my husband was asleep and he wasn't noticing what was going on either. So my legs started to feel really cold, like so frozen it felt like someone had buried them in snow. And then I started to get extremely confused. And so all I could think of at the time was getting something to warm up my legs. And I was passing out multiple times, walking around the house trying to find something to make myself feel better. And at that point, I was most likely already in multiple organ failure. And I'm a medical professional, and I had no idea. The confusion is so profound. You don't even know what you're doing. And so usually it takes someone else to rescue someone that has meningitis, someone else that sees it and sees that something horrible is going on.
Well, the thing that's so amazing about your story is you were able to wake up your husband. You were able to get to the hospital. But I can't believe they actually got there and told your husband she's not going to make it. She's got 30 minutes to live. You obviously, they had put you into a medical-induced coma at this time, but that's significantly scary to know that it came that close.
We just consider ourselves just extremely blessed. We do believe that it was a miraculous recovery based on the fact that, I was given 30 minutes to live. And then even when I made it past that first hour, because I don't have a spleen, all the specialists had told my husband that they thought I had about a 2% chance to wake up from the coma. And even then, they didn't know how disabled I was going to be if they were able to wake me up.
Well, and the thing is, it really took a team, right? When you got to the hospital, it required everybody going into action. In fact, one doctor stayed even 9 hours later to make sure to help you, get you to a place that you were back on track and stable. And so I'm going to want you to, stay with us as we go, to a commercial break shortly. But during that time, as you were in the coma and then you eventually came out of it, what was the first experience that you remember waking up? Were you in a lot of pain?
I just remember waking up in a fog and being extremely confused and not understanding what was happening, and my family coming in and gathering around me, and everyone kept saying, "Oh, I thought I'd never talk to you again. It's been so long since I've been able to see you awake and hear your voice." And I didn't understand what they were talking about because I've been in a coma for about 3 weeks.
And so I can imagine, I can imagine that would be very confusing. And so what we want to go into next, Maggie, is when you started to come out of the fog, that's really when the reality hit as to what had happened, but what choices you needed to make and what you needed to accept in your life. And so I want you to stay with us because we'll come back after this break and share the rest of your story. And for everybody listening, when you're hearing her story, think about where in your life, what choices you need to make or where you need to be more accepting. So stay with us. We're going to be coming right back after this break. I am Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey, but people in this town call me Maniac. They call me that because I'm the fastest runner in town. But just because everyone knows who I am doesn't mean I belong. I don't really belong anywhere. You see, I'm an orphan, and I wander the streets just looking for a place that I can truly call home. My name is Maniac McGee, and I'm all alone. Explore new worlds. Read my story in the novel Maniac McGee by Jerry Spinelli. For other great book ideas, visit your local library or log on to literacy.gov. Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
Look for the bare necessities.
The bare necessities of healthy living are easier than you think.
You better believe it.
And the food pyramid shows you the way. With just the right amount of exercise and the necessary grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, and meats and beans.
Just the bare necessities of life.
So eat right, be active, and have fun.
Yeah, man.
For your own path to a healthier you, visit mypyramid.gov.
This is really living.
This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Ad Council.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
What if I could tell you that a full-blown wildfire was going to occur tomorrow right where you live? Tell you exactly which neighborhoods it would engulf and how fast it would do it. The first thing you would do is talk with your loved ones and make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a wildfire will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you make a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back to the Living Full Out Show. My name is Nancy Solari, and today we're talking about accepting circumstances in our life. And how do we do that? How do we find a comfortable place where we're still confident, we're able to still go after our dreams and goals, even though we've had setbacks? Our inspirational guest today, Maggi Pivovar, is no stranger to needing to start over, hit the reset button, replan her life because she had to go through bacterial meningitis. She was told that she may die in 30 minutes, but then thankfully, after being in an induced coma for 3 weeks, she was able to come out of it. She survived. Even though organs were failing her right and left, she survived. But that wasn't the end of the story. She had more decisions to make, big ones. So I'd like to welcome Maggi back to the show.
Thank you, Nancy.
And as we lead into this next part of this story, you did have a really big decision to make. You saw parts of your body healing, and that's great, but your legs were not. And they gave you 2 choices. What were those choices?
Neither one of my options were very good. So the first one was to leave my legs as they were and most likely let an infection completely overtake my body again and die. And there was no chance of survival with option number one. Option number two was to amputate both of my legs 8 inches below the knee. And so that's obviously what I decided to do. I knew at that moment I had to live for my children, and there was no giving up on them no matter what. And so I leaned on my faith at that point, and I remember thinking that God is with me and he'll never, ever leave me. And that was the only thing that I was able to hang on to through years of recovery, the only thing that was true.
Well, and what was that moment like when you looked at your legs after they had been amputated and that portion of your legs were not there? Was there loss still in your heart, or was that drive for your children still there?
Actually, to me, it was moving forward to being able to go home. It was one more thing that needed to be done. And a lot of the depression, fear, anxiety about not having legs, that didn't hit me until much later, until I was at home. Mm-hmm. I think I was so goal-directed in the hospital, and everybody was taking care of everything for me. Plus, I had a brain injury, too. So I just wasn't getting my head around the reality of what life was actually going to be like, because I wouldn't have my legs anymore. That didn't really become reality until much, much later.
So when you were at home and you did have that moment, what was it that set you off? What was it that you felt you couldn't do that made you feel limited, that put you in that place of depression?
I think for me, it was a couple things. So one night, I just remember I was laying in my bed just like every other night that I'd done for months, and I just happened to look down at my legs, and they weren't filling out the bottom half of my pajama bottoms anymore. And it was just this moment of terror and fear, and I'm not sure why it hit me at that moment. But then shortly after that, when I got my first pair of prosthetics made for me, they didn't fit, and they felt horrible. I was in a lot of pain, and my skin would tear every time I put them on. And that took my depression to a whole new low, because I thought that's how I was going to have to live for the rest of my life. And I had no idea how I could take care of my family like that.
That is very scary. And I can see how that would be, how you would lose hope, how you would wonder, how am I going to do this? But you actually, thankfully, got aligned with an organization that did give you some really good prosthetics. Who are they and where are they located?
They are Prosthetic Orthotic Associates, and they're located in Orlando, Florida. Mm-hmm. The company is founded by Stan Patterson, and fortunately, through a connection with a former Major League Baseball player, Dennis Rasmussen, who knew of our family, Dennis invited us out there to go see them and to see what they could do for us. And for me, it was the beginning of a brand new, incredibly amazing life.
Now, how often do you have to get prosthetics fit? If you were able to get aligned with these folks that gave you a good set and kind of taught you how to use them and really get comfortable with them, but how often does one have to get refitted for prosthetics?
Well, it's actually a process. So people think that you just get a pair of legs and then you're good to go. But actually what happens is your leg shrinks and changes in size and shape over the next several months. And it can take really up to 2 years. So I would estimate that in the first couple years, I might have had 7 pairs of legs during that time, because every time my leg would change shape or shrink significantly, there wasn't any way to make me feel comfortable anymore other than to go down and to have a new pair made again.
Got it. So you just are constantly going back and getting fitted and until finally one starts to kind of settle in, I would imagine.
Right, you do. Mm-hmm. And then, for me, unfortunately, I love them to death. They just all feel like family to me, but I haven't been there now for 3 years because they've taken such good care of me.
Well, that is a good thing. Now, There's the rehab side of it. There's the internal process that you go through as to how am I going to do all the things I used to do. But I imagine there was also kind of getting used to the new you within the realm of you being a wife and the relationship with your husband. How was that?
Well, like I tell most people, really my life as I knew it ended on April 20th, 2007, and it started over that very next day. And so everything was an incredible process. So my husband had to adjust to living with somebody completely new. I had to learn how to live with my circumstances being completely different. So I had to learn how to do everything differently than I did before and in a completely different way. So what helped me a lot was being an occupational therapist before. I took a lot of those principles and practices that I used on patients in a rehab setting, and I applied them to myself. So whether it was dealing with emotional, physical, spiritual issues, I would set goals constantly. And I would try to achieve a new goal almost every day in one of those areas, and I had to make them really small. So then I could see that I was making progress toward improving relationships, toward just being able to stand up in the kitchen and make someone a peanut butter sandwich. Those were all like little tiny baby steps that I'm really still doing today, and just becoming a better person.
But, I love that you said that, because I think that's something we can all take on. Whether you were dealing with the adjustments of your legs, other people may be dealing with heartbreak or a different health challenge. For me, I had to deal with blindness, right? There's always that. But I love that you said that, making small, daily, measurable goals. And would you celebrate the times that you could do things?
Oh, yeah, it was just pretty silly. I just remember just freaking out the day that I rode an electric cart in the grocery store, because I could actually go grocery shopping for myself, and I think I looked like a complete fool.
You know what?
I
actually love that, and I have a good friend of mine who has MS, and she had that same moment. It's very liberating to know that you can get to where you want to go. I get that. That's great. And when you look at like your future, and I guess looking backwards, do you regret? I mean, do you wish this had never happened, or is the version of who you are today a better version?
The only thing I regret, if I had to regret anything at all, it's not knowing that I should have been vaccinated against meningitis because I didn't have a spleen. So there's actually several vaccines that I need to get, and I wasn't aware of that. So that could have prevented the whole thing. But other than that, I would say I love myself just like this. I feel like my life is better, it's fuller, it's richer, and I am incredibly joyful every single day. I know what it's like to not have, and I appreciate everything I have. I appreciate nature. I don't take things for granted anymore.
We're talking. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, what I was going to say is we're talking a lot today about accepting circumstances so that you can move forward. Obviously, you had to accept your new life without your legs, and accepting prosthetics, and accepting learning how to do things differently. What advice do you have for our audience who is kind of just really stuck in a rut and they can't accept, they're still in denial?
One of the things I did was I tried to focus on everything that I could do. So the list of what I couldn't do was way too long to even deal with. I didn't even allow myself to cry if I saw someone else running or something on the side of the road, knowing that I couldn't do that. So I would try to make a mental list or list on paper of everything I could do or everything I could learn to do. For example, I learned how to go kayaking. Well, I'd never done that before, but it was a physical activity that I could actually do. And so whatever it is, if it's taking pictures, if it's sitting and doing a craft or sewing or reading or something like that, you've got to find a way to find things in your life, to bring things into your life that are positive, and things that are possible for you to do. And then you start feeling happy and you start growing. It's an amazing feeling. I even climbed a mountain in 2014, something I never thought I would even be interested in doing. So.
Well, you go, girl. I love that. That's very living full out of you. I want to thank you so much for being on today's show. And, we'll just be wishing you all the best here going into the future. But thank you for sharing your words of wisdom with us.
Thank you, Nancy.
Have a great
God
day.
bless.
Thank you. Bye-bye. And I love that she shared with us all those lessons. Remember, when you're considering where you are in life and where you need to go and you're accepting things, it's about having measurable goals. I love that she brought that up. And thinking about the things that you can do. We're all going to feel limited, but we can do things. So stay with us. We're going to be taking your calls in the next segment. We'll be back.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
The following message is about Medicaid and CHIP, free or low-cost health coverage for kids and teens. Enrollment is open year-round.
Hey, voice lady, give me the mic.
Okay.
Hey, DJ, let's switch up the music. That's better. So listen up, moms and dads out there. There are these programs called Medicaid and CHIP. They offer free or low-cost health coverage for kids. Things like doctor and dentist visits, prescriptions, and shots are covered. All the stuff that keeps kids like me healthy and in charge.
So, as you can tell, a covered kid is a confident kid. And it means confident parents, too. To learn more about affordable health coverage for your family, visit healthcare.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. That's 1-877-543-7669.
Yep, you could do something big for your family today because enrollment is open year-round.
This has been a message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
And Sophia.
They're going to jump out of trees. You can't stop them. They'll go down the slide head first. They'll make parachutes out of sheets. They'll balance on things that are impossible to balance on, like the back of a couch or a windowsill or a scooter seat. They'll run with sharp objects. They'll run into walls. They'll climb things that won't hold their weight. They'll put their fingers in places where they could get smashed. They'll drive their tricycles down steep hills. They'll bounce balls off their faces. They'll step on each other. They'll jump on each other. They'll invent whole new ways to put themselves in jeopardy. But one of the most dangerous things kids will do happens while they're sitting perfectly still. Kids who ride in a car without a booster seat are much more likely to suffer serious or fatal injury during a crash than kids in boosters. But amazingly, 80% of all kids who need them aren't in them. After a toddler seat and until they're 4'9", boost your kids and don't let them down.
Go to boosterseat.gov to learn more about the importance of boosters. A message from the U.S. Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
Have you ever lost a cat? And have you ever wanted to get your cat back after you lost it? I'm Andrew Hoffman. I invented the Lost Cat Magnet. Just turn it on and lost cats stick to it. Just listen to one satisfied cat. That's proof. You should invent stuff too. But remember, don't do a lost cat magnet.
Anything's possible. Keep thinking. Get started on your own inventions or just play some games at inventnow.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, the National Inventors Hall of Fame Foundation, and the Ad Council.
We're your pets, and this song's dedicated to those people who don't have health insurance yet. Enroll, we say. We want you to be okay. Enroll, we say. Take care
take. Health insurance is now affordable and covers prescriptions, hospitalizations, and preventive care. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn more.
And take care, people.
Brought to you by Get Covered America and the Ad Council.
When in life you need to accept the circumstances of your life, don't look at it like you're settling or that you're having to just fail or make a mistake or give up. Look at it like the ability to hit the reset button, start over. When you accept things, now you're able to gain control back in your life. You're able to look at where you can drive your life into being purposeful. That's what it means to live full out.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. Nancy is here as a guide to show you how to rise above obstacles and savor each moment. If you have a question, call in live at 800-333-0001. That's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back to the Living Full Out Show. I'm Nancy Solari, and throughout this whole show, we've been talking about where in life we may need to accept times that we feel uncomfortable, that we haven't measured up to where we wanted to be, that curveballs, maybe health challenges or financial feats have come our way. But the thing is integrity, who you are at the core, is really challenged during those times. But it's when you say to yourself, and it's really what you say to yourself, that is the most important. If something happens and it takes your life off course or it makes you feel defeated, don't say, I'll try, maybe, I don't know if I'm going to make it. Be more assertive. I can, I will. It's the words that you choose to say that will guide you and allow you to stay inspired and determined to achieve those goals, even if they look a little bit different than initial. So I want you to consider, as we finalize the show today, where do you need to make changes in your life so that you can be more accepting and good to yourself? We're actually going to go to the phone lines now and talk to one of our callers. Hello, welcome to Living Full Out Show.
Hello, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. How can we help you today?
My whole life I've really struggled with setting myself up for failure and implementing discipline actions in my life. I can never really stick with one thing long enough to achieve any results with it. I always end up quitting or finding something new and never really accomplishing anything significant.
And so, given that that is the case, have you never done it? You've never completed one thing?
I guess, I do well in school, and, if I play a video game, I can do well in the video game, but nothing that makes me happy with myself in the long term.
Okay.
Exercise goals, I always end up failing them. Diet goals, I end up failing them. Mm-hmm. Being more social, anything like that. Anything that's not just, making me have more fun with no real beneficial gain, I do not accomplish.
And where along that journey do you give up? Do you give up, you think, when you start to see it not go your way? Is that when you give up? Or do you give up because you feel like, what's the point?
I don't think it's either one of those. I think what ends up happening is, I have this initial surge of motivation, like, I'm going to go for a walk or a run now. Mm-hmm. And then in a week or two, that motivation's gone. And then I just think, I just won't go today. And then suddenly I stop once and it's like a mental dam breaks. And I just fall apart completely.
Now, what happens when you're in a group setting? Do you give up? Do you let other people down in a group setting?
I almost never know. If I tell somebody I'm going to do something, that's for their benefit, I always end up following through.
Okay, so here's what we know. What we know is when left to your own devices, when nobody knows that you have a goal in your mind that you're trying to do, that's when you give up. That's when you fail. That's when you let yourself down. But what we do know is that when one person, 2 people, 10 people are accountable to something that you're doing, that's when you thrive. So what I want you to look at is, what is a goal that you have in your life? What's one thing that right now you've just started or you're in the midst of? What is something you'd like to achieve?
I'm trying to lose weight right now.
Okay. So how many people in your life know how much weight you're trying to lose?
The actual amount of weight, or just that I'm trying to lose any?
No, the amount of weight.
Not a single person.
Not a single person. Okay. They know you're trying to work out, but they don't know how much.
Yeah, I try to keep that very private. I'm very embarrassed about how much I actually weigh, because I weigh more than I look, and it's something I'm not proud of.
Yeah, but you know what? Hello, raising my hand. I'm pretty sure everybody listening's raising their hand. The thing is when you courageously put yourself out there and you invite people into your journey, you become an inspiration to them. I guarantee you nobody's where they want to be weight-wise. If they are, they're genetically gifted, okay? But what I want you to do is I want you to take a risk. I want you to tell 2 people how much you weigh today. And I want you to tell those 2 people that you're going to weigh in once a week with them. Pick 2 people. And you got to set up what is the consequence? What is the takeaway if you don't hold to your weight goals? Okay? That might be that you normally go out with your buddies to a happy hour or to the movies, and maybe until you lose the weight that you desire, you can't. You know, maybe it means rather than working out once a day, maybe that's not doing it. Maybe you need to do twice a day. So the biggest thing is you will thrive when you have other people cheering you on. So can you do that? Can you invite 2 people into your goals? Okay. You'll do that?
Yes, I will.
Okay, you promised us. And I want you to call us back at some point and give us an update how things are going. But I really think that's the secret to your success, is not going it alone, inviting people in. But thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you for having me.
Have a great day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody who called in today to the show, our inspirational guest, Maggi Pivovar. Most of all, to our audience listening, if you want to check out our show, go to livingfullout.com, click on the radio show tab. Remember, you can catch us on Alexa. You can download the apps on iPhone, Android, any which way, every day, that we can keep you motivated. The entire Living Full Out team is dedicated each week to helping to move you forward towards your goals. Most of all, know that I believe in you. And here's to you living your life full out.
Thank you for listening to the Living Full Out Show with Nancy Solari. To learn more about this program, visit livingfullout.com for the latest episodes. Connect with the Living Full Out community by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Here's to you, living full out.